Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavataram, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Sorry Prabhu, I'm outside. I'm just trying. I don't know. I pushed the record button from the phone. It will record or not, I don't know.
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Huh? So therefore, the question is, what is yoga? Is it some form of exercise? So in Sanskrit, the word yoga means linking, and the linking process to God. So there are many kinds of yoga. There's karma yoga, there's jnana yoga, there's also hatha yoga, and also there's bhakti yoga. So this kind of yoga that many people are thinking is a kind of a yoga in the form of exercise. It's called Ashtanga yoga. So Ashtanga yoga has got this, like this. Maybe you want to read this verse. Huh?
Can someone please volunteer? And
Yes,
yeah,
I'm reading. Yeah. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in the state is certainly liberated. Being engaged in Krishna consciousness, one can immediately understand one's spiritual identity. And then one can understand the Supreme Lord by means of devotional service. When one is well situated in devotional service, one comes to the transcendental position, qualified to feel the presence of the Lord in the sphere of one's activity. This particular position is called liberation in the Supreme. After explaining the above principles of liberation in the Supreme, the Lord gives instruction to Arjuna as to how one can become to the position by the practice of mysticism or yoga known as Ashtanga yoga, which is divisible into an eightfold procedure called Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. In the 16th chapter the subject of yoga is explicitly detailed, and at the end of 5th, it is only preliminarily explained. One has to understand out the sense objects such as sound, touch, form, taste, and smell by the pratyahara process in yoga, and then keep the vision of the eyes between the two eyebrows and concentrate on the tip of the nose with half closed lids. There is no benefit in closing the eyes altogether, because then there is every chance of falling asleep. Nor is there benefit in opening the eyes completely, because then there is the hazard of being attracted by sense objects. The breathing movement is restrained within the nostrils by neutralizing the upmoving and down-moving air within the body. By practice of such yoga, one is able to gain control over the senses, refrain from outward sense objects, and thus prepare oneself for liberation in the Supreme. The yoga process helps one become free from all kinds of fear and anger, and thus feel the presence of the super soul in the transcendental situation. In other words, Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of executing yoga principles. This will be thoroughly explained in the next chapter. A Krishna conscious person, however, being always engaged in devotional service, does not risk losing his senses to some other engagement. This is better way of controlling the senses than by the Ashtanga yoga.
So you can see this Ashtanga yoga, it just not involve exercise. It starts off with yama. Yama means sense control. We have to learn how to control our senses, particularly the mind, which is the chief of all the senses. That means you have to follow principles, you know, especially having no illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, intoxication. And that's called niyama, sense control, and then following rules. Rules are called niyama, you know. It's the do's and the don'ts. And then it comes to asana, you know, all these exercises that the yogis do, you know, stretching themselves, you know, the asana. Then you have pranayam. Pranayam is breath control, you know, controlling the breath. That's explained here, this breath control. So here in this verse, how you have to, why you have to do this breath control. And see here, explained here. Someone want to read from here?
Yeah, bro. The Ashtanga Yoga system is a materialistic art of controlling air by transferring it from the stomach to the navel, from the navel to the heart, and from heart to the collarbone, from there to the eyeballs, and from there to the cerebellum, and from there to any desired planet. The velocities of air and light are taken into consideration by the material scientist, but he has no information of the velocity of the mind and intelligence. We have some limited experience of the velocity of the mind because in a moment we can transfer our mind to places hundreds of thousands of miles away. Intelligence is even finer. Finer than intelligence is the soul, and soul, which is not matter like mind and intelligence, but is spirit or antimatter. The soul the soul is hundreds of thousands of times finer and more powerful than intelligence. We can thus only imagine the velocity of the soul in its traveling from one planet to another. Needless to say, the soul travels by its own strength and not with the help of any kind of material vehicle.
So you see here, this kind of pranayam is to push the air, you know, up from the stomach to the navel, from navel to the heart, and heart to the collarbone, then to the eyeball, to the cerebrum, and from there to the side planet. So this is how the breath control works, you know. It's called pranayam. So then pratyahara means to withdraw the senses from the sense object, you know. To withdraw the senses from the sense object. This is called pratyahara. Dharana means to fix your mind. You have to fix your mind on the form of the Lord. Then meditation starts, dhyana. And then you have got trance or samadhi. You become established in complete, you know, bliss, you know, thinking of the Lord all the time. So this is called the Ashtanga Yoga system, you know. So regarding this, you can see here it says, the verse here, Yunjanam abhaktanam pranayama adibir manaha akshina vasanam rajan drishyate punar uttitam. Someone want to help read this?
Yeah, bro. The minds of non-devotees who engage in such practices as pranayama are not fully cleansed of material desires. Thus, O king, material desires are again seen to rise in their minds, to arise in their minds.
So you see, it is not a perfect thing to help purify our consciousness, pranayam. It is not very, what we say, proper method. So the whole idea is to try to purify the soul from the material contact. So even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explained this at length. It says here, says here, sorry. So you see here, this is how Krishna, advised one to do this yoga. You read, please.
One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life.
This yoga means, you have to completely abstain from sex life. Not that you do yoga to improve sex life, which seems to be the theme nowadays. Completely contradictory to the purpose of yoga. And you have to think of the Lord. One should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life, which is never even thought. Nobody is teaching this thing. What kind of yoga is that? Can you read?
The goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. The yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu and not for any other purpose. The localized Vishnu Murti is the plenary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. One who has no program to realize this Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in mock yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and the Vishnu Murti situated in one's heart is the object of yoga practice. To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated as mentioned
No,
above.
one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life.
To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated as mentioned above. One cannot enjoy sex life daily at home or elsewhere and attend a so-called yoga class and thus become a yogi. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which sex life is the chief. In the rules of celibacy, written by the great sage Yagnavalkya, it is said, Karmana manasa vacha sarva vastusha sarvada sarvatra maithuna tyago brahmacharyam prachakshate. The vow of brahmacharya is meant to help and completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind at all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. Brahmacharya is taught, therefore, from childhood when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to the Gurukula or the place of spiritual master, and the master trains the young boys in the strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in yoga, whether it is dhyana, gnana, or bhakti. One who, however, follows the rules and regulations of married life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under regulation, is also called a brahmachari. Under a restrained householder brahmachari, under such a restrained householder brahmachari may be accepted in the bhakti school, but the gnana and dhyana schools do not even admit householder brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. In the bhakti school, a householder brahmachari is allowed controlled sex life because the cult of bhakti yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses sexual attraction. Being engaged in the superior service of the Lord, in the Bhagavad Gita 259 it is said, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification, a devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. Other than the devotee, no one has any information of that superior taste. Vigata abhi. One cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavatam 11:2-37 says, Bhayam dvitiyabhiniveshatah shadishad apetasya viparyayo smriti. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. And since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within, a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. The principles of yoga system is mentioned herein and are different from the popular so-called yoga societies.
So you can see how it is clearly explained that how you should be meditating on the Lord. But this, they don't teach this yoga. They are teaching something else, they're simply telling you to meditate on nothing. How can you meditate on nothing? Is that possible? Huh? See, everything has become so much perverted, people don't know. They're all in a confused stage. They think everything is for increasing sex life, Yes, this is how it is. And there are all kind of branded names of yoga. Is it not?
Okay, sure.
So you see here, the whole idea is explained how to do this program even more elaborately here.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Vimal Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I would like to request Sudha Mataji, please take over the reading. And others, please chat in a yes on the chat box. Thank you.
Hare
Mataji, please
Krishna.
go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Sri Uddhava said, "My dear lotus-eyed Krishna, by what process should one who desires liberation meditate upon you? Of what specific nature should his meditation be, and upon which form should he meditate? Kindly explain to me this topic of meditation."
You wait for me.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Sitting on a level seat that is not too high or too low, keeping the body straight and erect yet comfortable, placing the two hands on one's lap and focusing the eyes on the tip of one's nose, one should purify the pathways of breathing by practicing the mechanical exercises of Puraka, Kumbhaka, and Rikaka, and then one should reverse the procedure Rikaka, Kumbhaka, Puraka. Having fully controlled the senses, one may thus practice pranayama step by step.
So you see how, they have to do all these things, nobody knows about these things. How to breathe, breathing out, breathing in such a way, the outgoing air, the ingoing air, imbalance, They call what, in a suspense, So Krishna is explaining further.
Beginning from the Mooladhara Chakra, one should move the life air continuously upward like the fibers in the lotus stalk until one reaches the heart, where the sacred syllable Om is situated like the sound of a bell. One should thus continue raising the sacred syllable upward the distance of 12 angulars, and there the Omkara should be joined together with the 15 vibrations produced with Anuswara. Anuswara.
You want to read that?
Sure, Prabhu. It appears that the yoga system is somewhat technical and difficult to perform. Anuswara refers to a nasal vibration pronounced after the 15 Sanskrit vowels. The complete explanation of this process is extremely complicated and obviously unsuitable for this age. From this description, we can appropriate the sophisticated achievements of those who in former ages practiced mystic meditation. Despite such appreciation, however, we should stick firmly to the simple, foolproof method of meditation prescribed for the present age. The chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So this is much more easier, Krishna is explaining further. Can you read, please?
Being fixed in the Omkara, one should carefully practice the pranayama system. Practice the pranayama system 10 times at each sunrise, noon, and sunset. Thus, after 1 month, one will have conquered the life air.
I don't know, we have time to do all this, Yes?
Hare Krishna. Keeping the eyes half closed and fixed on the tip of one's nose, being enlivened and alert, one should meditate on the lotus flower situated within the heart. This lotus has 8 petals and is situated on an erect lotus stalk. One should meditate on the sun, moon, and fire, placing them one after the other within the whole of the lotus flower. Placing my transcendental form within the fire, one should meditate upon it as the auspicious goal of all meditation. That form is perfectly proportioned, gentle, and cheerful. It possesses 4 beautiful long arms, a charming, beautiful neck, a handsome forehead, a pure smile, and glowing, shark-shaped earrings suspended from 2 identical ears. That spiritual form is the color of a dark rain cloud and is garbed in golden yellowish silk. The chest of that form is the abode of Srivatsa and the goddess of fortune, and that and that form is also decorated with a
So I
conchal
was thinking,
club, lotus flower, and garland of forest
she
flowers.
liked the website
The two,
better because looks a bit funny if the
the two
website and
brilliant
that
lotus
would
feet are
be
decorated with ankle bells and bracelets, and that form exhibits the Kaustubha gem along with an effulgent crown. The upper hips are beautified by the golden belt, and the arms are decorated with the valuable bracelets. All of the limbs of the beautiful form capture the heart, and the face is beautified by merciful glancing. Pulling the senses back from the sense of objects, one should be grave and self controlled and should use the intelligence to strongly fix the mind upon all of the limbs of my transcendental body. Thus, one should meditate upon that most delicate transcendental form of mind.
So can you see here how this is to be done? Krishna himself is speaking that you should think of his transcendental form. How you start with the, his body, uh, slowly from the lotus feet up. But nobody is teaching all these things. Nobody is teaching this kind of yoga. Meditation, this is what pranayam is all about. Uh,
One
carry on,
should, sure, Prabhuji,
carry on
Hare
reading.
Krishna. One should then pull the consciousness back from all the limbs of the transcendental body. At that time, one should meditate only on the wonderfully smiling face of the Lord Krishna.
See? Then finally you come to Krishna's face, smiling face.
Being established in meditation on the Lord's face, one should then withdraw the consciousness and fix it in the sky. Then, giving up such meditation, one should become established in me and give up the process of meditation altogether. One who has completely fixed his mind on me should see me within his own soul, and should see the individual soul within me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he sees the individual souls united with the Supreme Soul, just as one sees the sun's rays completely united within the sun.
So then one can see that how he is actually a spiritual person and not this body. The whole idea is to become detached from this body. Unless you see the Lord, it's difficult to understand this, no?
When the yogi thus controls his mind by intensely concentrated meditation, his illusory identification with material objects, knowledge, and activities is very quickly extinguished.
So you see how uh, he is free from the material body. So this is a very important point because the whole idea is to come to the spiritual plane, but it is a mechanical process. But it can only become successful when we are able to worship the Lord within us. Unless we are connected to the Lord, this is difficult for us to give up this bodily identification. Hmm? So unfortunately, this science is not known. Uh, so many of them are doing many things which is not guided, no? Hmm? So unfortunately, So here you can see, although you are doing all this yoga,
Although the physical body may be improved by various processes of yoga, an intelligent person who has dedicated his life to me does not place his faith in the prospect of perfecting his physical body through yoga, and in fact, he gives up such procedures. The yogi who has taken shelter of me remains free from hankering because he experiences the happiness of the soul within. Thus, while executing this process of yoga, he is never defeated by obstacles.
so you see, this is how the person has to do this yoga, it's very complex actually. It's not so easy. That's why even here Arjuna is saying, it says here, anyone want to read that for me?
Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical, unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady.
So you see, this is how Arjuna has rejected this yoga, so-called Astanga yoga, He said, it's undoubted to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Can you read?
The system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the words Sukhau Desi and ending with Yogi Paramaha. Yogi Paramaha is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self-realization even by simple practical needs, and what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, the selection of place, and the detachment of the mind from material engagements.
And also in terms of speed, I think it's quite slow. Because
As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow the system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways.
basically
He belonged,
we are using WordPress. So
he belonged to the
this guy
royal family
advised us
and
to
was highly
upgrade
enriched
to
in terms of
this
numerous
system.
qualities. He was a great warrior, he had great
So
longevity,
private
and
stuff.
above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the
We
Supreme
asked him
Personality of
which one is
Godhead.
better, either
5,000 years
AWS or
ago,
GoDaddy.
Arjuna had much better
Yes, of
facilities
course,
than we
better.
do now.
So I
Yet,
thinking this
he
guy is
refuses to
investing
accept this
time.
system of yoga.
That's why I asked you, since you are doing the app.
In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing at any given point of time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what is the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so-called schools, societies, although
So the thing is, we have a lot of
complacent
content
and
by
certainly
associate
wasting their
our
time, they're
the way we
completely
present it
in
is not so
ignorance of
good.
desired goal.
So you say this is a very practical thing. Arjuna is saying, I cannot do it. He's telling Krishna point blank, he's speaking to God, not possible for me. And 5,000 years ago, I'm sure the situation was much more better than now. If at that time he is rejecting it as impossible, then what to speak about us trying to make sure? Actually, we are making a mockery of it. That's the point, you know. It's not even yoga they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. You see the point. This is how we should understand something. He's saying the mind is difficult, right? Can you read on? Anyone
Thank
else?
you very much,
Hare Krishna,
Mataji.
Sudha Mataji. If you can, thank you for your kind reading session.
Magneto.
Anandini Mataji, if you can kindly take over, please.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind.
So you see how the mind, Arjuna is saying the mind is very difficult to handle. You know, trying to keep the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, even to think of the very difficult. Can you read on?
The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy, but ultimately no worldly man can do so. For this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, it is said, the individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers, intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method described is Savai Mana Krishna Adara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate.
I had that thought in mind.
So you see, it is not easy to control the mind, you know. In fact, Krishna himself says also to control the mind. You can see here he's also saying.
So that's why.
Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kundi, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment.
So by practice, who has time to practice, you know? Can you read purport?
The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind as expressed by Arjuna is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of praising oneself oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the Supreme Soul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws, and that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshanubhuti, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness.
So you see here, Krishna is saying by proper, you can control the mind, very difficult to control, but by suitable practice and by detachment. So that process is to engage the mind in taking Krishna Prasadam and chanting the name of Krishna. This is explained here. Taking Krishna Prasadam, eating offered to Krishna, right? And hearing the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind. The mind, can only be captured in this way.
Thank you very much, Anandini Mataji. Can Sumedha Mishra continue, please?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
No.
This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects
You want to speak a little louder?
This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care.
So see, this is the catch, If you want to control the mind, then you have to have these two persons. One, service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of God. And we have to do this with great care. So now you're doing all this yoga, but you don't have a guru, then how to control the mind? It's simply wasting time. This is not going to work. And if you don't focus on Krishna, then absolutely is some yoga, wasting time program. See, here it says again here, the mind can only reconcile. Because therefore, again, one should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu one after another without being deviated from the conception of complete body. Thus, the mind becomes free from all sense object. There should be no other thing to be thought upon. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only. Only, there's word here. You cannot do this yoga in any other way. That's not, it is, as Prabhupada wrote just now earlier, wasting time. You understand? It is not meant for increasing our material sense gratification. Yoga is meant for linking up with us and God. It is not for other purpose. So the process that Krishna is telling Arjuna, Arjuna rejected it. I don't think so it can work for me. That's 5,000 years ago. He's speaking to God directly and God, is telling, sorry, I cannot do it. Not only, what's his name, Uddhava, Arjuna rejected, but Uddhava also is saying the same thing. He is also a very close friend of Krishna. Can you read, please?
Sri Uddhava said, "My dear Lord Achyuta, I fear that the method of yoga you have described is very difficult for one who cannot control his mind. Therefore, please explain to me in simple terms how someone can more easily execute it."
See here. Yes, 5,000 years ago, both great personalities have rejected it. And we are coming yesterday, full of nonsense, and we are saying we are going to do yoga. What kind of cheating program is this? Yes? Hello?
Yes, Prabhu.
Isn't this very ridiculous? Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can you read on, please?
O lotus-eyed Lord, generally those yogis who try to steady the mind experience frustration because of their inability to perfect the state of trance. Thus, they vary in their attempt to bring the mind under control.
Suddenly, the center and holding my
Hmm?
to provide data until the
Without the shelter of the Supreme Lord, a yogi easily becomes discouraged in the difficult task of fixing his mind on the Supreme.
GPay payment solution has applied for major payment institution license under the Payment Service
Therefore,
Act
O
from the
lotus-eyed
universe.
Lord of the universe, swan-like men happily take shelter of your lotus feet, the source of all transcendental ecstasy. But those who take pride in their accomplishments in yoga and karma fail to take shelter of you and are defeated by your illusory energy.
So you see, if you do this yoga, you will be defeated if you do not take shelter of Krishna. It says here, Maya will defeat you. So why do something which is impossible? That's the question. First, you should know what is this all about, and then you should do properly under the guidance of a proper guru. But they don't have a guru. They think this is some kind of exercise. Correct?
Some other
Yes,
payments
Prabhu.
seamlessly be able to be added.
My dear infallible Lord, it is not very astonishing that you intimately approach your servants who have taken exclusive shelter of you. After all, during your appearance as Lord Ramachandra, even while great demigods like Brahma were vying to place the effulgent tips of their helmets upon the cushion where your lotus feet rested, you displayed special affection for monkeys such as Hanuman because they had taken exclusive shelter of you.
See, even great personalities have taken shelter of the Lord. And here they are teaching something else.
Who then could should dare reject you, the very soul, the most dear object of worship and the supreme Lord of all. You who give all possible perfections to the devotees who take shelter of you. Who could be so ungrateful knowing the benefits you bestow? Who would reject you and accept something for the sake of material enjoyment which simply leads to forgetfulness of you? And what lack is there for us who are engaged in the service of the dust of your lotus feet?
We can see here the program is to go only by bhakti. Only by bhakti you can actually go to the Lord. There is no other way that you can actually go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Krishna also said, in this verse.
Thank you very much, Sumedha. Can Palika Mataji kindly continue reading?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi.
So here the yogi is referring to a bhakti yogi. He's better than ascetic, means the one who practices some kind of mystic yoga. Greater than empirist means the mental speculator, and greater than the fruitive worker means the one who does karma yoga. So here Arjuna is advised to become a bhakti yogi. So can you read the purport?
When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly intuitive activities, it is called Karma Yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called Gnana Yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not. Prabhu. But he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is full of spiritual knowledge and therefore nothing can excel it. Asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. And fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga. And this is still more clearly explained in the next verse.
So you see how Krishna is advising that instead of doing all this difficult thing, it is best to become a devotee. Yogena mapi sarvesham matkatentaratmanaha shudavan bhajante yomam same yuktatamo mataha.
And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me with himself and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion.
So Krishna is giving his conclusion. If you want to be successful, do yoga, then the only yoga is to do this bhakti yoga. Yeah, you can read the word.
The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used where there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam 11.5.3 confirms this as follows. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse also the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, Bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to the demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mam muda. Bhagavad Gita 9:11. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions toward the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga without future results is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and enunciation, the stage is called Gnana Yoga. When Gnana Yoga increases in meditation on the supersoul by different physical processes and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make any further progress is called by that particular name: Karmi Yogi, Gnani Yogi, or Jnana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shamasundara, who is as beautifully colored as cloud, whose lotus-like face is as effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded, illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahmajyoti. He incarnates in different forms such as Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he descends like a human being as a son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with all appearances and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. This stage of highest perfection in yoga can be obtained only by Bhakti Yoga, as is confirmed in all Vedic literature. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Bhaktir asya bhajnam tad iham murtopadi. I'm sorry, Prabhu.
Read the English.
Yeah, Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclinations, one should fully observe in the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naishkarmya. These are some of the means of performance of Bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system.
So you see how in this chapter Krishna is, explaining devotion to him is the topmost thing. You see, the ultimate is to be united intimately with him, and that is the highest of all. So instead of wasting time in doing all kind of elaborate gymnastic exercises and trying to control the life and this and that, which are practically impossible, it is very easy to perform devotional service, you know. And see here again, he says, he stresses this point.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for kindly reading. Can Divya Shivaram Mataji kindly continue? Divya Shivaram Mataji. Then I would request His Grace Braj Kishore Prabhu to kindly continue.
My dear Arjuna, only by the devotional service I can be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding.
So you see here, Krishna is saying again, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. You know, yes, see, and only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Next verse again, he says, please read on.
My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of repetitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me.
So again here Krishna is stressing about Bhakti Yoga, no? Yes. So your devotional service should not be contaminated by anything. Correct? See how important it is, because devotional service can be practiced by anybody. Whereas Ashtanga Yoga and all the other yogas, unless you are, you know, very much, you know, brahmachari, doing all kind of tapasya, then you can do. But for women to go to a sacred place or for a child to go to a lonely place, this is all not very practical. See? Correct? That's why Bhakti Yoga, anybody can do. Even a child, offering Krishna. See, Bhakti Yoga, Krishna says, what is that? You offer me some fruit, leaf, flower, water, I accept. So Bhakti is so easy. Correct? See, 9:26. Krishna says, this is Bhakti Yoga. You offer me some fruit, flower, leaf, water with devotion, I accept. This is devotional service. Anybody can give, any child also can give, right? Who cannot do this? So I Krishna stress how to do Bhakti Yoga. He says in the last verse here. So you can see here, Krishna is saying here in this verse, 2 times he said this thing, how to do bhakti. Can you read, please?
Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
So this is very easy to do, engaging your mind and thinking of Krishna always. If you chant Hare Krishna, you'll always be thinking of Krishna. That means you become a devotee of Krishna by following the do's and the don'ts. and then paying obeisances to Krishna and worshipping him. Anyone can do this instead of doing all this difficult thing that we read, no? The controlling the air, the kumbhaka, the rechaka, all is so difficult. Moving the life air, going to sacred place, following very strict principles, becoming celebrate one after the other. It is not possible. See, Krishna even here, he didn't say that you have to give up your work or your family or anything. He didn't say all that. Right? Did he say that? No. He said you do your work. Do your work and you think of me. You fight. He said there you have to tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaram yuddhe acha mayarpito mano buddhi mam evayasya samsayaha. See? Can you read on, please?
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
So you say, never say, do give up this, that. Just carry on. But you include Krishna in your mind. Try to think of him all the time. It's a very simple process, Whatever you do, you offer to Krishna. Correct?
Thank you very much, Mataji. I would like to request His Grace Raj Kishore Prabhu if you can kindly continue.
Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Hey, who cannot do this? Whatever you do, you give your work, of course, give some percentage to Krishna. Whatever you eat, before you eat, of course, you cannot eat and then offer. You offer first and then you eat. As much as you like. Whatever you offer, give away, austerities you perform, you do it for Krishna. It's a very simple yoga, It's not very difficult to do. Whereas anything else other than this is very troublesome, It's not very much suggested, See, says here, for those whose, can I read on, please?
Those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
So see how difficult it is. That's why it is explained, It said here, in Kali Yuga, nothing can work. So you try to do something against what is taught, then it is going to be difficult. Read on.
Harer Nama eva kevalam, kalau nasteva gatiranyatha. For spiritual progress in the age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. For progress in spiritual life, the Shastras recommend meditation in Satya Yuga, sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu in Treta Yuga, and gorgeous worship of the Lord in the temple in Dwapara Yuga. But in the age of Kali, one can achieve spiritual progress only by chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is confirmed in various scriptures. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many references to this fact. In the 12th canto, 3.51, it is said, Kaler doshani dherajan nastihye komahan gunaha kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. In the age of Kali, there are many faults, for people are subjected to many miserable conditions. Yet in this age, there is one great benediction. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can be freed from all material contamination and thus be elevated to the spiritual world. Narada Pancharatra also praises the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as follows. The essence of all Vedic knowledge, comprehending the three kinds of Vedic activity, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda, the chandas or Vedic hymns, and the processes for satisfying the demigods, is included in the 8 syllables Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is the reality of all Vedanta. The chanting of the holy name is the only means to cross the ocean of nations. Similarly, the Kali Sankarana Upanishad states, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These 16 names composed of 32 syllables are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. In all the Vedas, it is seen that to cross the ocean of nations, there is no alternative to the chanting of the holy name. Similarly, Sri Madhvacharya, while commenting upon the Mundaka Upanishad, has quoted the following verse from the Narayana Samhita. In Dwapara Yuga, one could satisfy Krishna or Vishnu only by worshipping him gorgeously according to the Pancharatriki system. But in the age of Kali, one can satisfy and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari simply by chanting the holy name. In his Bhakti Sandarbha, text 284, Srila Jiva Goswami strongly emphasizes the chanting of the holy name of the Lord as follows.
Quite a long verse, huh?
Srila Jiva Goswami states that the substance of all the Vedic mantras is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Every mantra begins with the prefix Nama Om and eventually addresses by name the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the supreme will of the Lord, there is a specific potency in each and every mantra chanted by the great sages like Narada Muni and other rishis. Chanting the holy name of the Lord immediately renovates the transcendental relationship of the living being with the Supreme Lord. To chant the holy name of the Lord, one need not depend upon other paraphernalia. One can get all the desired results of linking with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It may therefore be questioned why there is a necessity for initiation or further spiritual activities in devotional service for one who engages in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The answer is that although it is correct that one who fully engages in chanting the holy name need not depend upon the process of initiation, generally a devotee is addicted to many abominable material habits due to material contamination from his previous life. In order to get quick relief from all these contaminations, it is required that one engage in the worship of the Lord in the temple. The worship of the deity in the temple is essential to reduce one's restlessness due to the contaminations of conditioned life. Thus, Narada, in his Pancharatriki Vidhi, and other great sages have sometimes stressed that since every conditioned soul has a bodily concept of life aimed at sense enjoyment, to restrict this sense enjoyment, the rules and regulations for worshipping the deity in the temple are essential. Srila Rupa Goswami has described that the holy name of the Lord can be chanted by liberated souls, but almost all the souls we have to initiate are conditioned. It is advised that one chant the holy name of the Lord without offenses and according to the regulative principles, yet due to their past bad activities, they violate these rules and regulations. Thus, the regulative principles for worship of the deity are also simultaneously essential.
So you can see how this is the most easiest method to do devotional service, And devotional service, so simple. All you got to do is move your lips. Hare Krishna, this is the best gymnastic exercise you can do. I don't think you need to go anywhere else to do that. It is just within you. Move your lips and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then everything that you need to do by all the other things is all contained inside this. Very special. Just by chanting, everything you get, One who does devotional service is not lacking anything. See?
A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode.
See, just by doing devotional service, everything you get, no? And it's not difficult. To chant Hare Krishna, I don't think it's very difficult. This is says here. Anyone can do this. No? Please read.
The holy name of Lord Krishna is an attractive feature for many saintly liberal people. It is the annihilator of all sinful reactions and is so powerful that, save for the dumb who cannot chant it, it is readily available to everyone, including the lowest type of man, the Chandala. The holy name of Krishna is the controller of the opulence of liberation, and it is identical with Krishna. When a person simply chants the holy name with his tongue, immediate effects are produced. Chanting the holy name does not depend on initiation, pious activities, or the Purashcharya regulative principles generally observed before initiation. The holy name does not wait for any of these activities. It is self-sufficient.
So this is the process of chanting. If you chant, immediately you get two things. You get happiness and you get peace. This is the test. If you do this yoga or you do that yoga, any yoga, this is the test that you're actually becoming happy. Right? So easy to do. Not very difficult, no?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. If there is some other devotee who has not yet read, he can come forward and kindly read.
Hey, this is explained in the last verse,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, may I?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
The Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering.
So this is the most easiest method to get rid of all kind of bad, things we have. Going to our bad karma, we are suffering like anything. So why not do this simple yoga rather than trying to do all the other things which will not work also? It will not work, Just chanting, so easy. Even if we come from very degraded backgrounds, says here. It doesn't, share this verse, you see here.
My dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees brings me under their control. I cannot be thus controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation.
Hey, Krishna again says here. Even we come from low background, it says here. Can you read on?
Only by practicing unalloyed devotional service with full faith in me can one obtain me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am naturally dear to my devotees who take me as the only goal of their loving service. By engaging in such pure devotional service, even the dog eaters can purify themselves from the contamination of their low birth.
You can't do that by doing all this other kind of yoga. Not possible. You see how potent this Bhakti Yoga is. In fact, in another place it says, everyone don't like to be of low birth. For some reason we have caught in this because of a previous karma.
To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him.
See how potent this program is. Just by coming in contact with Krishna, especially in Kali Yuga by chanting, which is the most potent. Even people who are, very low, see, they are worshipable.
Yes. Oh, how glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy name. Even if born in the families of dog eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy name of your Lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name. To be chanting the holy name of your Lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required.
See how chanting Hare Krishna is so much powerful. It doesn't degrade someone, even if it's degraded from previous life's reaction. All you do is open his mouth and say Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Why do all these difficult things, And spending money also. All this yoga thing they're teaching outside are not cheap, no?
Yes.
Yes. And they're cheating. They themselves don't know. Why get embroiled in all this very complicated stuff? Correct?
Yes.
So this yoga, all this yoga, completely they are not beneficial. The only yoga you can do in Kali Yuga is Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalau nasteva gati ranyata. Very quickly you will get, it says here. What is that? Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prajyotita. 1, 2. Anyone? One who chants Krishna's name, very quickly he gets.
And 7. 7.
7, huh? See, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janatu Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chahaitukam.
By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world.
So not only you get this, because they say, what is this yoga, all nice, I can get detachment, and what about my present situation? What should I do now? Yes. So Krishna says, I'll take care of you. By chanting and getting to me, thinking of me. I provide what you lack. Preserve what you have. Anaya Chintayanto Mam Yejana Prayupashate Tesham Nityapyuktanam Yoga Chemam Vahamyaham. See? And see?
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have.
See, even now, if you start chanting, everything you can get. Not only you're talking about your spiritual going back to God, even materially, Krishna provides everything for a devotee. Not only this, he also gives protection. Right? He gives protection. There's so many things you get. Huh? Yes?
Yes.
See, Chipram Bhavati Dharmatma, very quickly he becomes righteous. Saswat Santi Nigachate. He gets eternal happiness. And also he get Kauntaya Pratijane Na Bhakta. You never, he's not lost, he's not perished. Read.
He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes.
See, how much benefit you get, Why do this difficult thing? Tell me. This intelligence. I don't think this is very intelligent, no? Correct? So, any other questions on this subject? We have covered it at length. How this yoga is not very beneficial. What is the kind of yoga you should be doing? And how you can become successful. Even while living in this material world, staying with your family and doing your work, the chanting of Hare Krishna is the most appropriate. So any questions on this verse before we take other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai Prabhupada. Prabhu,
Yes.
actually, I have one question. Prahlad Bhaktas.
Tell me.
Actually, definitely this yoga process, this mystic yoga is actually, definitely it is not conducive for spiritual life. That is very, very clear. But it's mentioned in second canto, 25th chapter, verse number 26. The purport Prabhupada explains that the diseases happens because of the derangement of the air in the body. 225 and 26 purport Prabhupada explains.
Chapter Srimad Bhagavatam,
second canto, 25th chapter.
There's no 25th in the second canto.
Fifth chapter. Verse number 26 to 29, Prabhu. In the purport, the last stanza, let me see this. Yeah, in the last stanza it is mentioned, diseases of the body takes place due to the derangement of the air within the earthly body of the living entities. Mental diseases result from special derangement of the air within the body, and as such, yogic exercise is especially beneficial to keep up the air in order so that disease of the body becomes almost nil by such exercises. So, I mean, is it not all right to do a little pranayam so that to make sure that our body is in control, Prabhu? Just for the body, not for the spiritual life?
No. The best thing is to wake up in the morning and chant Hare Krishna. That is the best pranayam.
Okay, Prabhu.
All these other things are not, it will not work in Kali Yuga.
No, not for spiritual life, Prabhu, but actually for the body, I'm
saying.
saying.
If the soul is in line spiritually, then all disease goes away. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
The moment you wake up and do morning program, then you are healthy. You become hygienic, clean, mentally you are strong. Then what's the problem? Yes? Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
There's all these other things you may try. Yeah, you can. Of course, you breathe in. You get good air in your lungs. Definitely, you feel good. Correct?
Yes.
Yes or not?
Yes, Prabhu.
So you may think that I'm doing pranayam. Yeah, I'm getting strengthened. But actually, you're just putting more oxygen in your body.
Yes, correct.
You can do that anytime. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
If you actually wake up in the morning and do this morning program, then everything will fall in place, because the mode of goodness brings about good health, The mode of passion increases diseases in the body. You follow? It says here in the 11th canto, anyone knows this verse? 11, 25. It says here, when you are in the mode of passion, then disease, the unhealthy working conditions of the body. Yeah. So if you don't do this morning, spiritual thing of coming to the mode of goodness, then you, 17, huh? Yes. Thanks. See, you don't wake up, you don't do all this, you simply keep your body in the mode of passion. You want to read this since you asked the question?
You should discern of the mode of passion by its symptoms, the distortion of the intelligence because of too much activity, the inability of the perceiving senses to disentangle themselves from the mundane objects, and an unhealthy condition of the working physical organs, and the unsteady perplexity of the mind.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
So if you don't do this, then how you going to, you must come to the mode of goodness, no? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
Actually, one of the
I'll show you one verse before I say this. Can read the purport, first paragraph.
The words Yavananam Rishabham refer to the king of the Yavanas. The Sanskrit words Yavana and Mlecha apply to those who do not follow the Vedic principles. According to the Vedic principles, one should rise early in the morning, take bath, chant Hare Krishna, offer Mangalaharati to deities, study Vedic literature, to take prasada and engage in dressing and decorating the deities. One must also collect money for the temple expenditures, or if one is householder, he must go to work in accordance with the prescribed duties of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. In this way, one should live a life of spiritual understanding, and this is the Vedic. Can you scroll up, Prabhu?
Oh, sorry.
And what is it?
From the top, second line.
Okay, so one who does not follow the rules and regulations are called Yavana and Mlecha. One should not mistakenly think that these words refer to a certain class of men in other countries. There is no question of limitation according to the nationalism. Whether one lives in India or outside India, he is called a Yavana or a Mlecha. He does not follow the Vedic principles. One who does not actually follow the hygienic principles prescribed in the Vedic rules and regulations will be subjected to many contagious diseases, because the students in this Krishna consciousness movement are advised to follow the Vedic principles. They naturally become hygienic.
See the point here? That's okay. Huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes?
Yes.
You don't wake up, you don't do things in the mode of goodness, you get disease. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
There's all this pranayam and all. I mean, when the air is already bad, how much more you want to do all these things? And pranayam, all is, we have advised us now, you have to go to the sacred, place and be alone and all that, stand in one leg and two tails or something. Huh? I mean, this is not practical, bro. Correct?
Yes, true.
So So you follow what is given by the spiritual master?
Yes, Prabhu.
Why do something? Did Prabhupada at any time did pranayam?
Actually, one of the 423.8 Prabhupada writing, aim of pranayam is not to make the body strong and fit for working hard, is to worship the Krishna, and that can be is actual aim to strengthen the mind and senses in order to engage them in devotional service. In the present age, that easily can be acquired by chanting holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare
Okay.
See? Says there.
What is it, Prabhu? Where is it?
423.8 purport, yeah. Complete
Okay,
pranayam, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Hare Krishna. 423.8. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So you see how chanting is the most important thing. Then you take
Actually, some devotees,
prasadam.
Prabhu, they do exercise to because some devotees they do exercises to keep the body, but actually exercises will decrease the duration of that breath. No, Prabhu, that will eventually increase the life. No, life is number of breath. So when you do these
Breath.
modern exercises, that will reduce the lifespan. But this
Yes.
pranayama will prolong that. That's what I was asking. Okay, Prabhu. Clear, Prabhu.
Who can do the exercise of chanting and dancing, that they won't do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
So everything has to be done in accordance to the direction given by the spiritual master.
Okay, Prabhu.
You follow that, then you will not get all this too many contagious disease here, Prabhupada writes. See? It's subject to many contagious diseases. See? Yes.
Yes.
So all this can be avoided if you follow a very strict program. Especially waking up and chanting Hare Krishna. It's help you a lot.
Okay, Prabhu.